Okay, so I love that you talked about like the startup phase versus the sustaining phase, because there is a difference.
100%.
And I feel like people spend so much time thinking like all I have to do is start, that they have no energy to put towards sustaining. What does sustaining require from you that's different than starting?
You know, sustaining, I always say that it's one thing to reach a number once or twice. It's another thing to reach that number month over month, year over year comparison, and never declining. Or if you do decline, you're not declining so much that you can't sustain what you've built. You know, and having a strategy and a plan on how to take your business to the next level, even if you're experiencing the decline. You know, it's very it's not for everyone. You know, I don't want to, you know, discourage people that are, you know, in the corporate world and climbing the corporate ladder, because everybody needs a CFO, CMO, and all the things in their business as well. But over here, when you're in the CEO seat, it's like the ownership seat. It's you have to make sure that when you are experiencing in a season, you don't move too quickly ahead of the growth sprout that you are experiencing. It's important that you understand that. Is that your new norm, or is that just a season in your business?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's okay. Let me tell you why I think that's great.
Yeah.
Because I think about like content creators, and you have like a video that goes viral, and you're like, oh, I'm it now. We arrived. And then like the next few videos flop. Or to your point in entrepreneurship, you have something that does exceptionally well, and then other things are more difficult to launch. I mean, the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows, I think can be discouraging for people who feel like, why would God allow me to reach like this moment, and then I feel like I'm going backwards? I'm curious to understand what you think. Like, I feel that God is trying to teach me more than anything how to be steady in either condition, and to be like consistent in either condition, as opposed to being seduced by either of them. But I'm curious, how do you, process those moments?
You know, something you said earlier, which is so funny. You said that you had said some people feel like, how would God let me get all the way here just for me to fail, right? I remember when I built my business up to open up my first store on Melrose, and I did that in a short period of time, like in 3 years of business. The first one was doing amazing, so well that I opened the second one. And that one completely flip-flopped. It completely flip-flopped. And it was only up the street from the store that worked. I expanded too soon. So that season thing I was telling you about, I had to learn that in real time.
How do you know you expanded too soon?
So I had a store. It was working well for like 4 months. We were hitting a certain number that I've never hit before. And now in that particular store, we were outgrowing the space. I'm like, oh, I need a bigger store because the sales are here now. And if I get a bigger store, all I need is now I'll be able to house more clothes, which should automatically equate to more sales. Duh. So let me go open up this whole big old store that's double the rent, that's double the responsibility, double everything. A whole lot of money to build out right up the street. It shouldn't be no difference, only up the street. However, it was a huge difference. The foot traffic was different. That was actually a season I was experiencing, and that wasn't necessarily like my new norm, I suppose. Now, when I experience a growth sprout, I have to do that number consistently for a year before I make any foundational decisions in my business.
So good.
Yeah. And that situation taught me that. And when I expanded and my sales dropped in half and everything was going terribly, I'm like, that was the exact question. I said, God, how'd you let me get all the way here? And it's not working. And these people are looking up to me. I'm on panels speaking, telling people how to start a dang on clothing line, and I done fumbled the whole thing. I just didn't understand. And at the time, that's the very question I used to ask God. Like I just did not understand. It got so bad that I had to close the store down. I was working myself to like, I hate even thinking back on it because it always brings me to tears, even though I overcame it. It was a very, very difficult time, you know? And I was working really hard. I had to let go the two little people I finally was able to hire. I had to let them go. I'm now in a store that's 3 times the size of the previous one. Every time I was helping a customer zip up her dress in the back, I just knew people was robbing me blind up the front.
Because there's enough of us.
Not enough of us. It's just me. And I'm like, it was just a really, really tough time. And I was not making enough to keep the doors open. And I tell this all the time. There was a particular time I came to Bible study at one, and it was a day that I made about like $300 that day, and in order to even just to pay the rent in that store, I had to make at least, I think, $900 to $1,000 a day, and I only made $300. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna walk down to Bible study. I'm gonna go get me a Starbucks, because my first store was by where that Urban Outfitters and Starbucks was at. Yeah. So I bought Starbucks. I walked down and I was listening, and I said, God, I'm going to just give everything I made today, because at this point, I need a miracle. I've done all I could in the flesh. It's beyond me. Like, I'm hurting, and I don't know what to do. I took my whole $300 that I made that day, and I gave it to church. The very next day, I go to work. I was there all day. I made no money all day, right? I was literally about to close the doors, and it's like this random girl is like stumbling in with her boyfriend, like, wait, we just got in town. I need something to wear. I'm sorry, please don't close. I'm like, sure. You don't even know. Right, I made $1 a day. Come on in. She literally like shopped till she dropped. That was the first day that I made $10,000 in a day. Like, that the first time I've ever experienced that. And I was like, God, can nobody tell me you're not real? Because that's crazy. Yeah. Like, I literally, like, that's so beyond what I could ever even do in the flesh or on my own. So I'm like, okay, God, I see that you're still here. Like, you know, I see that you really actually did not leave me, but I'm going to allow this to go the way you want. Because I was already at the end of the road. At this point, I was getting put out the place in the whole thing. But that money helped catapult me over to my next move. And when I relaunched my company, because I lost it in 2019 and I relaunched in 2020, that was my first year that I made my first $1 million. And before that, every year before that, I was always a 6-figure business. But that was my first time, like during COVID is the time that I've started to make millions. And I'm like, so many things was coming my way. Oh, we were growing pretty quickly, and my team was like, we need another space. I said, no, we're not gonna. These dresses need to be falling out the door before we move this location. And that's what happened. I let a year go by to make sure. Oh, okay, our first year relaunching, we made $4 million. I said, okay, now we can go. Now we can go. But it took a year. I needed to make sure I was not making that bad decision again. And then even when I started investing in marketing, there's things that I lost that I tried before when I had stores, and those opportunities approached me again. I'm like, oh, no. I know that doesn't work. I've tried that before. Actually, I've always wanted to do this instead, but I never really had the capital to try it. Let's do that. That worked. And I'm like, okay, God, now it makes sense. You let me take my lessons, because I didn't go to school for this. I literally taught myself everything I know. But what I lost on like a smaller scale, I was able to use that experience when my company started to grow to 7 figures. And so it could like saved me on the losses, like, you know, like, if that makes sense. It's like, I feel like, and now that if I had to choose, I would have rather lost the way that I did, because it was on a much lower cost, even though that felt so big to me. Like, at the time, it would have been so much more expensive if I did it now, if I made those kind of mistakes now.
Do you realize how much resiliency you have to have in order to not experience, I'm going to use this word, though I don't think that it's proper, to experience those failures, to not let them define you and to try again? Because so many people would say, okay, the store didn't work. I guess I'm supposed to wrap it up. It wasn't meant for me. I'm not caught. I already don't know what I'm doing. Like, I feel like you must have a healthy distance between like your self-esteem and your work. So that it's not a reflection of who you are. Because I think that when failure convinces you to pull out altogether, it's because there's a part of that failure that you feel is a reflection of your identity. Whereas for me, you know, I feel like, hey, listen, we're already out here walking on faith. We're doing the best that we can. This failure can only teach me.